Okay, let's wait for 30 seconds or so until everybody logs in, and then we'll get started. Okay, well, looks like everybody's settled in. So quick introduction on my end. Hello, and thank you for joining today's call. I'm Mislav from HR Cloud, and I've been doing sales for the last 4 years or so. And today I'm here to talk about the common problem that affects not just recruiting teams, but also HR teams, hiring managers, and new employees as well. And that problem is the gap between hiring and onboarding. Many organizations manage recruiting and onboarding as two separate processes where recruiters handle applications, interviews, evaluations, and offer letters. And then after the candidate accepts, HR must manually transfer that information, create records, send documents, assign tasks, and basically prepare the employee for day one. Now that handoff right there, so post-offer acceptance, creates duplicate work, missteps, delayed communication, and it creates a bunch of confusion for the new hire. Today, we'll show you how HR Cloud, Recruit, and Onboard connect that journey from the first interview through the employee's first day. So let's quickly review what we will be talking about. So first, we'll look at where the hiring to onboarding process breaks down. Then we'll discuss the impact that disconnected systems and manual handoffs have on the HR team, the hiring managers, and the candidates. Next, we'll show what a connected candidate and new hire journey should look like. We'll walk you through how HR Cloud recruits, supports creating that connected experience, uh, starting from job postings to candidate management, offer letters, and onboarding. And of course, we'll show that in action. We'll review one customer experience, great kids and awesome adults, and then finally, we'll also have time for a Q&A. So let's talk about where this process breaks down. As hinted in the introduction, very often the problem is not recruiting or onboarding individually. The problem sits between them, right? So I spend my day talking to businesses in different industries and businesses with different head counts, everything from a small local business with 20, 30 employees, middle market business with hundreds of employees, and also very large enterprise businesses. And here are some scenarios that I hear a lot. Also, these scenarios don't have to do with the size of the company. You'd be surprised there are enterprise level businesses where processes are completely out of sync. But common situations, a candidate accepts an offer, but onboarding does not start automatically. The candidates waits for sometimes even a day or two before the onboarding actually starts. Uh, and why is that? Someone has to notify HR, someone has to transfer the candidate information, create the employee records, send forms, notify the manager, track required tasks, right? So those are a bunch of mini scenarios added into that one big scenarios where, the experience is the candidate signs an offer letter and then waits for a couple, sometimes a day or two until the onboarding proper starts. And those mini scenarios I've just described, where a bunch of people has to do a bunch of tasks, uh, is what slows that process down, right? Uh, and that's what happens when the process depends on a lot of disjointed tools like emails, spreadsheets, shared folders, right? Things get missed. The candidate believes the company is preparing for their arrival. The hiring manager believes HR is managing the next steps. HR may still be waiting for the right information. And all of this creates uncertainty at exactly the moment where the new hire should feel most confident about joining the company, right? Because when you sign the offer, your expectation is that you'll start the onboarding immediately and that you'll know and have a clearly outlined set of steps to complete before your day one so that everything goes smoothly. But as we've seen, that's necessarily not the case. Things can get messy. So based on this description, we can identify several problems. And on this slide, you can see we group those into 4 distinct categories. So first, candidate information gets entered multiple times, right? And that takes time to do, right? So 1, 2, sometimes even 3 people spend a lot of time retyping the same information. Resumes, interview notes, references, hiring decisions can become scattered across different systems, right? That's also something that's annoying. Then offer acceptance does not immediately trigger the onboarding. Uh, the new hire can receive inconsistent instructions. Managers do not know which tasks they need to complete before the employee starts. HR spends time chasing documents and answering questions that a structured workflow should and does when it's structured handle automatically. Uh, and the result of all of this is more administrative work, slow hiring, poor visibility, frustrated new hire, and also a really bad experience for the team who does the hiring, right? Sometimes it's almost like without rhyme or reason, as the saying goes. So now that we've seen what a disconnected process looks like, let's take a look at the opposite. So what does a connected journey actually look like when you treat onboarding and recruiting as one continuous experience, right? So a connected process treats recruiting and onboarding as one journey. The candidate applies through a job posting. Recruiters manage the person through clearly defined hiring stages: interview schedules, notes, evaluations, communications, documents, all of those stay connected to the candidate record, so it's easy for everybody to find it. The team prepares and sends the offer through the same organized process. Once the candidate accepts, their information is moved directly into the appropriate onboarding workflow, right? From that point on, the candidate receives correct forms, policies, tasks, deadlines, and also, a variety of instructions, all depending on their role, department, or location. HR can monitor the process, right? They can easily see what has been completed and what still requires attention, and the information moves forward with the person instead of being recreated at every stage, right? That's, the big idea here. When you move the person through stages, why not make sure that all the information is moving with them as well? So let's take a look at one of our customers, Great Kids and Awesome Adults, and talk about how making onboarding and recruiting one instead of two, or treating onboarding and recruiting as one instead of two processes, help them and how it works for them. So the organization provides early intervention and case management services. Before using HR Cloud, the team posted jobs through Indeed, but they relied on Google Drive to store resumes, references, notes, and other hiring documents. The recruiting and onboarding processes lacked consistency, important communication was sometimes missed or not passed to the right person, which created wasted time, confusion, errors in the records. And when you have errors in the records, you automatically also have compliance concerns. HR Cloud Recruit help the org centralize applications, candidate tracking, and new hiring workflows. Over 6 months of using HR Cloud, they reported a 24% increase in applications, a 21% increase in interviews, and a 14% increase in new hires. HR Cloud onboarding tool then helped the team replace paper forms and manual processes with customized checklists, deadlines, automated reminders. So basically creating a bunch of structured workflows for them. When they implemented that, the team saved administrative time, improved communication, and created a smoother experience for new employees. And their experience shows that the greatest value comes from connecting recruiting and onboarding and not just improving one of those or parts of the processes in isolation. So let's now look at how this works inside HR Cloud. So let me pull up my demo account right here. And let's take a quick look at recruiting and all of the steps that we outlined right in a couple of slides ago. So this is the job portal where a company's job postings will live. Our clients take the URL, they add it, right? They take the URL right here because this is a URL we host. They add it on their website. There's almost always a careers or contact us page there. So people can apply, and this also can connect to other job portals. So we connect with Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, so the postings here are available there as well. When a candidate finds you, they just select the position they're interested in and go through your application form, whatever the application form is, right? So you can customize what type of information you are collecting and which documents do you want people to attach. Is it the resume? Is it a cover letter or something else? Now, when the person applies, we collect the application, and right here from this view, if let's say I want to review Riley's application, I can click on her name and I have all of Riley's information right here in one place on one page, and I can easily navigate it together with my colleagues from the recruiting team if there are, more of us working on the same posting. So right here on the info page, I can check out all of her information and see the resume previewed right here. Then I can also go into the documents if I want to download the resume or if I've asked for maybe a cover letter or something else as well. Here under notes, once I talk to her, I can leave a notes, but we'll come back to that later because notes are usually taken after phone screens or interviews, right? The first contact will probably be an email notification, which you can send from this emails tab right here. As you can see, everything you send out and everything you receive gets captured here. So you have the whole communication and timestamped as well. Now, after you've talked with Riley a little bit, right, you sent her an email, you requested references, maybe you want to flag that, right? So by clicking here, you can select the appropriate flag. So is Riley interviewed? Is she phone screened? Did I just make a request reference for references? Is Riley declined, etc. Right? So that's how easy it is to move people from stage to stage, make sure we are on the same page. And of course, there is automation options here as well. So when I, let's say, flag her as declined, the software can send her an email or notification just updating her automatically, so the recruiting team doesn't have to spend time on that part, on just sending updates to everybody who is not a fit, or let's say the same thing can apply to when you're requesting references, right? Why should the recruiting team spend time emailing everybody and ask for references when you can just automate that? From here, you can also schedule interviews. So let me show you how easy that is. So if you want somebody, you really like Riley, you want to talk to her, let's call it first interview. To make it short, I won't change the time zone. I'll just leave that as is. I will add my Zoom link because that's where we'll talk. And then I'll just create and send this to Riley. This will then be added into the in-app calendar once Riley accepts. And of course, Riley will get an email notification to accept or decline. Just pulling up my email, right, to show you that. So this is what Riley will see, and she can then deny or accept the interview. And she has the Zoom link right here immediately included. Very straightforward experience for everybody and all done from this one page. After I talk to Riley, maybe I want to rate our discussion. Not a total fit, needs more experience. Maybe something like that. Leave a comment. And I can also capture a note, right? If it makes sense. I I do apologize. You know how these demo accounts sometimes get. There we go. And if I want to leave a note, I can do it here in this section, right? You can just go in, type in my comment on my experience with Riley. I can also add an attachment. There is a 2000 character limit for the note, so I can be fairly descriptive, right? You don't need that much to capture a note. Well, so far, so good, right? But what happens when I want to hire Riley, right? What then? Then I can go here and create and send an offer letter. You can store all of your templates right here. So I just need to select the correct template I'm offering. And let's say I want my department head to sign as well. So I'm going to add that person, and then I just click send. Bam, and I've just sent an offer to Riley. She'll get it on her email where she can then review and accept the offer. Give me just a moment to refresh my inbox, and then I'll show you how it looks like from Riley's point of view. But while the inbox is loading, right, you get the difference. Imagine using spreadsheets or taking notes in Word and storing them in Google Drive, or even taking notes on paper and then maybe uploading screenshots or photos or retyping those notes, right? And having to share them with somebody. You can see how That takes time, takes concentration, makes it hard to follow, right? Versus something like this, where you have one screen with all the relevant information related to Riley. And since my inbox started to cooperate finally, there you go. So you receive the offer letter email, and then if I want to view the offer, I just click view offer and then sign it. Oh, sorry about this. Gmail decided not to cooperate, but to refresh. I do apologize. I'm not sure why Gmail is not working right now, but luckily I have an example of a copy that's already been signed, so I can pull up that one. Just refresh it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, there we go. Gmail finally cooperated. There it is. It's not the signed copy, it's the one that I just sent to Riley, but you get the idea, right? You get an email, you click on a link, and then you accept as the employee, and then the second person here is the admin or department head who have to sign. So luckily for me, Gmail decided to stop working and finally loaded the link. I don't know what was that about. I do apologize one more time. And hopefully we won't have any more surprises going on. Okay, so once everything is done right here by me as a recruiter, right, I collected Riley's application, I phone screened her, I requested references, I've scheduled a call with her, went through all the bells and whistles. And then I need to hand her over to whoever is going to do the onboarding, right? Whoever is in HR. How do I do that? I just click hire. And then I'll review Riley's information. If I have to make some last minute changes, this is where I'll be able to do it. There we go. It's not just Gmail, even my internet is messing with me. Let me just check the connection real quick on my, no, okay. Looks like everything should be good now. So again, sorry about that. Where were we? We have Riley's information that we collected when she applied. We can make last minute changes here, and then we just click save. And that's it. Riley's onboarding journey will then begin. The onboarding is pre-configured in the software. Right, let me just assign a body real quick. There we go. So the onboarding is pre-configured. We already set up which checklist we want and which tasks are going to trigger when we hire. I apologize. Which tasks we want to trigger when we hire Riley. So when we click save, this will trigger and Riley will do the onboarding. So from her point of view, this is just one experience, right? So after signing the offer letter, she immediately gets a link explaining her how to log in into a portal and how to start and completing the onboarding. So that's also something I'd like to show you before we are done. So I will log in as this new hire, Amy Slick. It's not Riley, but let's pretend this is Riley. So I will log in from her point of view so you can see how the onboarding experience feels like. Right after I've been hired, I received an email, I followed the instructions, I log in on this onboarding portal page and I see a list of tasks I have to do. And this is where I will complete everything. So if the company needs me, to sign a W-4, a 99, a W-9, a contract, or whatever, I'll be able to open up the forms, add my information, and also sign digitally, right? And once I save this, it will be automatically stored in my employee record. Same thing for attachments, right? So if I need to upload an ID, an I-9 verification item, or something similar, I'll be able to attach the document here or take a photo of the document, and it automatically gets routed into my profile. Then there may be video materials I need to watch, right? Like welcoming, training, orientational stuff, which will be linked to me here. And I can just quickly hit play, watch the video, and complete the task. And lastly, there might be some tasks I need to do outside the software, like bring in something to the office, which I will check off once I actually do the activity. And then I might need to also download things like handbooks, policies, benefits overviews, and so on. There's also custom forms that I might need to sign or forms that the company uses for internal purposes, which will be non-PDF. For example, a direct deposit, right? So you can see there's both PDF and non-PDF forms with text instructions, and everything is clearly outlined for the new hire. There's a list of activities with due dates and reminders, and once I log in, I just go through the list, and whenever I upload an attachment or sign paperwork, it all gets routed into my profile. Now to go back to HR's point of view, right? What does HR have to do here? So when the employee gets hired, HR just has to basically monitor the process and of course maybe complete tasks if some of those tasks are assigned to them. Because when the onboarding triggers, not just the employee, but also the manager, IT, HR, or whoever from the team needs to be involved will be involved, so they'll have tasks to do. But besides doing that, HR has to monitor. So they have an overview page where they can track the process, right, by role or by location, department, or some other criteria. And then they have detailed reports to make sure everything is completing their part, where they'll have a report of all the action items by status. And then by filtering, grouping, they can create custom reports that they can refer to. And if they need to access the employee record, they just click on a person's name and they can see all of their information, employment details, compensation details, any custom data they want to capture, like these license expiration dates, personal details, and forms and documents. Everything's at their fingertips. And of course, the offer letter and the documentation from the applicant profile is also transferred here into the employee profile, right? So everything's here at HR's fingertips with no extra communication or check or pings required to the recruiting team. And the new hire was able to complete the onboarding right after they sign the offer letter. They do it from their computer. There's a mobile app, so they can do it even from their phones or from a tablet. And the only thing they have to do is basically follow clearly outlined steps with due dates and instructions. So everything's connected and continuous as we wanted it to be. Okay, and that's if there is just, one lesson here is that recruiting and onboarding should not operate as separate experiences, because if that experience is disjointed, your team loses a bunch of time, new hire loses confidence, and this is all very easily preventable. So now let's move into the Q&A. Okay, so let's see. First question. You've mentioned candidates lose confidence during a slow handoff, and what specifically causes that from the candidate side? That's a good question. And in my experience, because it did happen to me as well, and also talking with a bunch of clients, I would identify silence mostly. Between accepting and day one, candidates are watching for signals that the company is organized. But if the paperwork is delayed, requests are repeated for the same information, right? And that all reads as disorganization, even if the actual hire is proceeding fine internally. From the outside point of view, you can sometimes think, do these people know what they're doing by asking me the same questions all of the time? Okay, next question. For great kids and awesome adults, was the improvement mainly from fixing recruiting, fixing onboarding, or connecting the two? So the numbers that I've outlined got all the attention, obviously, because applications and interviews did spike up their digits spiked up. But when we talked to them, the part that their team actually talked about differently was, and what made the difference for them is that onboarding no longer starts cold. So before every new hire meant assembling the information from scratch, and after the information was always sitting there, was already sitting there. So onboarding became a formality, right? While previously it was a scramble. So actually taking care of that gap that I've been trying to convince you today exists. Taking care of that is what they reported was most helpful for them. Okay, so if a company already has decent recruiting and decent onboarding tools separately, why does the connection matter so much? That's another great question, and that's because the failure point usually is the gap between them. So two good systems with a spreadsheet in between can still produce the same handoff gap. How do you avoid the connected process just becoming its own bottleneck if everything depends on one workflow? Well, that's actually a great question, and that's something that I didn't talk about too much during the presentation. But basically, tasks are distributed to whoever owns them, HR, manager, or the new hire, and reminders are attached. So it's not one person or one queue holding up the process. When the onboarding triggers, everybody gets assigned their tasks and they can proceed at the same time. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so how customizable are the workflows? The workflows are extremely customizable. Basically, nothing is pre-configured in the onboarding, so we take whatever workloads our clients are using that are maybe paper-based or manual or partly automated, and we translate them into the software. So the onboarding can be role-based, department-based, location-based, there's pre-boarding, there's inboarding, there's even offboarding, so we can take care and automate the HR for the whole employee lifecycle. Okay, and we have time for one more before we have to go. Can you also connect to payroll? Yeah, that's another good question that we didn't talk about. Short answer, yes, we do have an open API, so you can connect your onboarding to payroll, and then you have the whole journey connected, recruiting, onboarding, and finally sending the information into payroll without having to do any retyping. So we can connect your payroll with an open API, but we do also have some out-of-the-box integrations like KDP, QuickBooks, Paycor, UKG, Paylocity, SAP. Okay, that's okay. Yep, we are out of time, and we did manage to cover 5 or 6 questions, which is great. If there are any in the chat that I didn't cover, please leave your emails and I'll send you the replies after the demo. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you so much for making the time to join. If you'd like to talk to us, you can find us at hrcloud.com. You can also reach out at sales@hrcloud.com. And hopefully I'll get to see some of you again. Thank you.